7. Clear signs you're an attractive older man, even if you don't realize it. Age gap relationships. Have you ever walked into a room and felt an unspoken energy shift? People glance in your direction, conversations seem to spark naturally, and without even trying you hold a quiet presence that draws others in. But maybe, deep inside, you wonder, do people still find me attractive? The truth is, attraction doesn't fade with age. It evolves. What made you appealing at 30 isn't the same thing that makes you magnetic at 60 or beyond. Looks may change, but confidence, wisdom, and authenticity become your strongest assets. If you've ever doubted your own appeal, it's time to take a closer look. Because there are unmistakable signs that prove you're still an attractive, desirable man, even if you don't realize it. Stay with me until the end, because by the time we're finished, you'll never see yourself the same way again. 1. You carry yourself with a calm, unshakable confidence. Confidence is not about being the loudest in the room or demanding attention. It's about the quiet strength that comes from knowing who you are. A man who carries himself with calm assurance commands respect without needing to prove anything. He walks with ease, speaks with intention, and listens more than he talks. This presence alone makes him magnetic. A man who has lived through life's ups and downs, who has faced challenges and emerged wiser, understands that true confidence isn't about seeking approval. It's about being comfortable in his own skin. As Confucius once said, "He who conquers others is strong. He who conquers himself is mighty." This mastery over oneself makes a man stand apart. Consider Theodore Roosevelt, a man whose presence was felt before he ever spoke a word. He was not the tallest, nor the most physically imposing, but when he entered a room, people noticed. His unwavering confidence, shaped by his experiences and challenges, made him unforgettable. This same quality exists in men who carry themselves with assurance. Take Henry, a 72-year-old retired businessman. He spent years watching younger men scramble for attention, constantly proving themselves. Henry, however, never needed to raise his voice. When he spoke, people listened, not because he demanded it, but because his words carried weight. His steady presence made people respect him. Even now, in everyday life, his quiet confidence draws admiration. What many men don't realize is that confidence is not just about thinking you are strong. It's how you carry yourself. Stand tall, shoulders back, head high, walk with purpose. Make eye contact and offer a slow, genuine smile. These subtle actions speak louder than words. Women notice a man who moves with certainty, who doesn't seek validation but simply exists in his own truth. In a world where so many people chase status and approval, a man who simply is, who owns his space with quiet strength, becomes rare and valuable. The world does not need more men trying to impress. It needs men who exude steadiness, who make others feel safe just by being themselves. Have you ever underestimated your own presence? Have you noticed how people respond to you when you stand confidently in your truth? Share your thoughts below. Let's start a conversation. 2. People feel comfortable and safe around you. There is a quiet power in being the kind of man who makes others feel safe. It is not about being the strongest in the room, nor about proving yourself through loud words or grand gestures. Instead, it is about creating an environment where people feel at ease, where they can exhale in your presence, knowing they are not being judged, rushed, or dismissed. True attraction is not just about admiration. It is about how people feel when they are around you. When a woman can relax in your presence, when she feels emotionally secure and understood, that is when real connection begins. Lao Tzu once wrote, "To the mind that is still, the whole universe surrenders." There is wisdom in these words, for a man who carries a steady and peaceful presence does not need to chase respect or affection. It comes to him naturally. People are drawn to those who make them feel heard, valued, and safe. In a world filled with uncertainty where so many are searching for reassurance, your ability to provide that stability is a rare and powerful form of attraction. Take Samuel, a 70-year-old retired school principal. His voice was never the loudest in a conversation, but when he spoke, people leaned in. When he listened, he made others feel as though their words truly mattered. Over the years, friends, family, and even strangers found themselves confiding in him. Women in particular sought his presence, not because of superficial charm, but because he had the kind of emotional steadiness that made them feel secure. Being this kind of man does not require wealth, status, or youth. It requires presence. It means looking people in the eye, truly listening when they speak, and making them feel that their thoughts and emotions matter. It is not about solving every problem, but about giving someone the space to be heard. If you want to embody this trait, start by becoming an excellent listener. Pay attention, ask meaningful questions, and resist the urge to fill silence with your own thoughts. Women are naturally drawn to men who make them feel safe, not just physically but emotionally. Have you noticed how people open up to you? Have you ever been told that someone feels comfortable around you without knowing why? Share your experiences below. Your insights may inspire someone else. 3. Women, notice the way you take care of yourself. A man who takes care of himself is a man who respects himself. And that respect is something others notice, especially women. It's not about clinging to youth or following fleeting trends. It's about valuing your presence, your health, and the way you present yourself to the world. A man who still takes the time to dress well, groom himself, and maintain his energy signals that he has not given up on himself. That self-assurance, that quiet dignity, is deeply attractive at any age. Women do not just see these details, they feel them. They recognize the difference between a man who moves through life with care and intention versus one who has surrendered to time. Confucius once said, "Respect yourself and others will respect you." This truth transcends time and culture. When you take care of yourself, physically, mentally, and emotionally, you command respect without demanding it. A well-fitted jacket, a clean shave, a signature scent that leaves a lasting impression. These small yet significant choices set you apart. They are not about vanity, but about self-value. A man who respects himself naturally invites respect from others, and that is a form of attractiveness that never fades. Consider Thomas, a 73-year-old retired architect. He never dressed for attention, yet people always seemed to notice him. His clothes fit just right, not flashy but well chosen. His posture was upright, not forced but natural. He carried a calm energy, a quiet confidence, and his presence alone made people want to be near him. He had a daily routine, not out of habit, but out of care for himself. A morning walk, a few stretches, and a careful yet effortless sense of style that made him feel good in his own skin. Women, even younger ones, often told him, "You always look put together," but it wasn't about the clothes. It was about the pride he took in himself. Looking good as you age isn't about trying to keep up with trends. It's about knowing what works for you and embracing it. Find clothes that fit well, keep a scent that suits you, stay active, not to turn back time, but to feel strong and move with confidence. The way you carry yourself reflects the way you see yourself, and that perception shapes how the world responds to you. Have you noticed how people treat you differently when you put in the effort? Have you ever received a compliment that surprised you? Share your experience below. Your story may inspire someone else to embrace their self-worth. 4. You have a natural, effortless charm. Charm is not about impressing people. It's about making them feel at ease in your presence. It is the way you carry yourself, the effortless warmth you exude, and the way your presence lightens the mood without effort. A naturally charming man doesn't seek validation. He simply knows how to make people feel comfortable, seen, and valued. Women are drawn to this quality not because of the words you say, but because of how they feel when they are around you. It's a form of quiet magnetism, an energy that invites others in without demanding attention. The ancient Greek philosopher Socrates once said, "The secret of change is to focus all of your energy, not on fighting the old, but on building the new." This wisdom applies to charm as well. It is not about forcing conversations or putting on a performance to be liked. It is about being present, engaged, and genuine. People remember how you made them feel, not the details of your words. When you show genuine interest in others, listen actively, and find humor in the little things, you create a space where people feel lighter and more connected. That is charm, and that is attraction. Consider Samuel, a 70-year-old man who never considered himself particularly handsome, yet he always found himself surrounded by people who enjoyed his company. He had a way of making others laugh, not through rehearsed jokes, but through an easygoing appreciation of life. When speaking with a woman, he didn't try to impress her with stories of his past, but instead asked about her day, shared a witty observation, or gave a simple heartfelt compliment like, "You have a great laugh," or, "Talking to you is always refreshing." His charm was never forced, never a strategy, it was simply his nature to make people feel good. And that is why people gravitated toward him. If you want to enhance your natural charm, focus on warmth rather than wit. Compliment others sincerely but casually, without expectation. Laugh easily but never at another's expense. Show appreciation not through grand gestures, but through small acknowledgments of connection. A simple "I always enjoy our conversations" can make someone feel valued in ways they may not express out loud. Women are drawn to men who lift their energy, not drain it. Have you ever noticed the power of charm in your own life? Share your experiences below. Your words may encourage someone else to embrace the warmth they already possess. 5. Women hold eye contact with you longer than necessary. They say the eyes are the windows to the soul, and in that fleeting moment of extended eye contact, something unspoken is exchanged. It's an acknowledgement, a spark of interest, an invitation wrapped in silence. In a world where people are constantly distracted, true connection is rare, but when a woman holds your gaze for just a second longer than necessary, she is telling you something, perhaps even before she fully realizes it herself. Attraction often begins in this quiet space before words are spoken, where energy, curiosity, and presence do all the talking. Confucius once said, "He who does not know how to look will never see." Attraction is not always loud or obvious. Sometimes it lives in the smallest gestures. The way a woman's eyes linger before she glances away, the way she looks back a moment later, as if to confirm what she felt. This subtle dance is as old as time itself, and those who recognize it have an unspoken advantage in understanding human nature. Take James, a man in his late 60s, who had never considered himself particularly striking, yet he had noticed something peculiar over the years. Women often seemed to look at him in a way that felt different. At first, he dismissed it as coincidence, but then he started paying attention. When he walked into a room, there was often a shift in the air, a moment when eyes brightened, when glances were exchanged, when conversations slowed just slightly in his. He realized that attraction wasn't about youth, but about presence. When he met a woman's eyes, and she didn't immediately look away, he learned not to break the moment too soon. Instead, he softened his expression, offered the slightest of smiles, and allowed the silence to breathe before speaking. It's not about being aggressive or trying too hard. It's about recognizing that sometimes the most powerful conversations happen without words. If you've ever noticed someone's gaze lingering just a moment too long, take it as a sign that something is being communicated. And if you've ever experienced this quiet, electrifying moment of connection, share your story below. Because sometimes, the simplest glance can change everything. 6. You inspire respect wherever you go. Respect is not given freely, it is earned, built through actions, reinforced through consistency, and carried with quiet dignity. A man who inspires respect does not need to seek validation, nor does he demand attention. His presence alone commands it. When he walks into a room, there is something unmistakable about him. His posture is straight, his movements deliberate, his voice steady. He does not speak to fill the silence, he speaks to be understood. And when he does, people listen. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one." True respect is not found in words, but in the choices a man makes every day. It is in the discipline he maintains in his thoughts and actions, the integrity he upholds even when no one is watching, and the wisdom he shares without arrogance. The greatest men throughout history, leaders, warriors, philosophers, were not those who shouted the loudest, but those who carried themselves with purpose, a sense of inner peace that could not be shaken by the chaos around them. I knew a man named Robert, an old friend from my younger days. He was not the wealthiest among us, nor the most educated, but he carried himself with a dignity that made everyone take notice. He never raised his voice to prove a point, yet when he spoke, even the most stubborn men paused to listen. He had a way of making his presence felt without imposing, of setting boundaries without aggression, and of offering wisdom without judgment. People respected him because he never tried to impress, he simply was. One evening, a younger man in our group asked Robert for advice on how to earn respect in his workplace. Robert smiled, took a slow sip of his coffee, and said, "Respect is a mirror. If you respect yourself first, the world reflects it back to you. It was a simple truth, yet profound. The way you speak, the way you hold yourself, the way you respond under pressure, all of it signals to the world how you expect to be treated, and if you hold yourself in high regard, others will follow. So ask yourself, do you command respect simply by being who you are? If not, what small changes could you make today? If you've ever witnessed a man who naturally inspired respect, share his story below. Let's reflect on what true dignity looks like in a world that often forgets its value. 7. You still have a sense of purpose. A man with a sense of purpose carries an invisible force, an energy that draws others in, an enthusiasm that refuses to fade with age. He wakes up with curiosity, eager to learn, contribute, to create. He does not see the passing years as a slow decline but as an opportunity to leave a deeper mark on the world. And this energy, this refusal to stagnate, makes him magnetic. Confucius once said, "A man who moves a mountain begins by carrying away small stones." Purpose is not found in grand gestures. It is cultivated in the small daily acts of engagement with life. It is in the quiet discipline of mastering a new skill, in the joy of passing down wisdom to the next generation, in the courage to keep exploring, even if it's just discovering a new cafe in town. It is in refusing to sit idle, in knowing that even now, you have more to give. I remember my old neighbor Walter. At 75, after decades of working as an engineer, he could have chosen to sit back and let life drift by, but instead he picked up a paintbrush for the first time. At first, his hands were unsteady, his strokes unsure, but he kept at it. Soon, his small apartment was filled with canvases, landscapes, portraits, scenes from his memory. People in the neighborhood started to notice. A local cafe offered to display his work. Young artists sought his advice. He became known not as the retired engineer, but as the man who paints the past into life. He had found a new way to contribute, a reason to wake up excited, a passion that kept him engaged. And because of that, he carried an energy that made people want to be around him. A man with purpose does not fade into the background. He remains present, alive, relevant. If you feel life slowing down, ask yourself, what excites me? What have I always wanted to try? Who can benefit from my wisdom? Your story is not over. You are still writing it. What new chapter will you create? Share below. I'd love to hear how you keep your spark alive. As the years pass, some men fade into the background while others become even more captivating. The difference? A sense of purpose, quiet confidence, and the energy of a man who still has more to give. If you've recognized yourself in these signs today, know this: you are more attractive than you think. Attraction isn't about youth, it's about presence. It's the way you carry yourself, the way people feel when they're around you, and the silent, undeniable respect you inspire. You don't need to chase attention. It naturally comes to you. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What's one thing you've done recently that made you feel alive, energized, or simply more like yourself? Drop a comment below, and let's celebrate the confidence, wisdom, and quiet strength that only gets better with age. And if you found this video valuable, give it a like, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more content that reminds you of just how much you still have to offer.